Good evening. What are you interested in?
Yes. Good evening, Arbsi. Today, for the first time in 2 years, Russian President Vladimir Putin and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz had a telephone conversation. Here is how the Russian side treats such initiatives, and can Germany as a whole, or perhaps other Western countries, become intermediaries?
Well, as the Russian side treats, in my opinion, the Kremlin has already announced, there are press reports, there is nothing to add. But I also read the messages that the German Chancellor's office released following the conversation. It says that he condemned Russian aggression. It says that Germany will be with Russia as long as necessary. Well, this is, in general, you know. This is what the Germans and other members of the European Union and NATO say publicly in any case. And when we are with Ukraine as much as necessary, the question arises, who needs it? Certainly not to the Ukrainian people at all. But here I say again that the Kremlin has clearly stated its assessments in a detailed statement. Viktorovich, did the forum participants show realism in assessing the situation around Ukraine compared to last year? But last year I was not on the forum, this is the first. I was the year before last. Secondly, the forum works on the condition of non-disclosure of any details. But I think they will not be offended if I say that the answer to your question is positive. Understanding and realism is much more. Viktor Sinov, Izvestia. Sergey Viktorovich, the Western press is actively dispersing the narrative that China is allegedly dissatisfied with too close cooperation between Russia and the DPRK, and that this may even complicate Russian-Chinese relations. Tell me, do you record this dissatisfaction, or is this another information attack? If so, what can it be designed for? Well, I don't know what's behind it, what calculations are there, but probably to drive a wedge between Russia and the People's Republic of China. There have been no appeals to us regarding our relations with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We regularly consult with Beijing on how we can coordinate our actions with regard to the problems created by the Americans and their allies on and around the Korean Peninsula. And that's all I can say. We have a very positive dialogue on this topic. Well, what's behind it? Now there is speculation in Western political science circles that it is necessary to help complete the story around Ukraine, meet some of Russia's legitimate demands, and then use Russia in a coalition against China. Such a simple calculation. Again, as always, we are not for collegiality, but for dividing and trying to rule. These are attempts with absolutely useless goals. Yes, thank you very much, Sergey Viktorovich. Increasingly, there are calls for dialogue with Moscow at various levels in the EU and NATO countries, or at least contacts with Moscow. Although just recently everyone was saying that there would never be any dialogue again. How do you explain the trend yourself? What is behind this change of rhetoric? Well, it means that they, as politicians, are not completely lost to the top.
Sergey Viktorovich, Donald Trump promised to work very hard to resolve conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. Do you think you can imagine how he can do this?
I can't imagine. We will wait for suggestions. We emphasize regularly, when asked about this, that in any case, a politician who says that he is not for war, but for peace, deserves attention. But we don't know what exactly will be proposed. Our position was clearly formulated by President Putin, his speech at the Foreign Ministry, on June 14th of this year. Thank you very much. Good evening. Question about Poland. There, 165 kilometers from the border with Russia, an American missile defense base has now opened. At the opening, President Duda said that it was originally planned to repel a potential attack from Iran. And now he said so very proudly that the fact that an American base was opened there on the territory of Poland indicates that Russia has lost its influence there. How would you comment on this, and what retaliatory measures can be taken? Our assessments are justified, in my opinion, even 10 or 15 years ago, when the Americans withdrew from the anti-missile defense treaty. and said they would deploy the corresponding positional areas in European countries. Indeed, they said that their only goal was to defend themselves from Iran, even from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Analyzing their plans, how they look in principle, we said right away that this has nothing to do with Iran. This is an attempt to create unilateral advantages in the confrontation with Russia, escalating tensions, pursuing a course to contain Russia. But these estimates of ours are fully justified. I also like that all your questions are perfect, because they already contain the answer. Thank you.
Спасибо.